they've been talking to devs a lot recently, and I guess the next thing you're going to see released on PulseX is going to be the limit orders. Works fine in the private testnet. They're just going to push it to the main branch, and like you'll be able to test that soon. And the big thing that we're waiting on is consensus improvements. So because my devs are geniuses, they find bugs other people don't know about. So they know about bugs in BSC that nobody else knows about. They know about bugs in the click consensus mechanism, which Pirelli is based on, that nobody knows about. And so, you know, before we launch mainnet, we want everything to be right. And right now, we have a pretty cool opportunity because the Ethereum guys finally got to market with something, or are close to getting to market with something, which is their Ethereum 2.0, which will now, once it happens, just be called Ethereum. They won't be called Ethereum 2. And it doesn't release new coins. You're not going to get a copy of your coins on Ethereum 2. It doesn't improve costs. There's no extra throughput. There's no extra gas limit. There's no extra throughput per second. All it does is reduce issuance rate for Ethereum, which is bullish for all of crypto. You know, Ethereum's got half the market cap of Bitcoin. And if you don't have Ethereum miners dumping the price constantly and enriching power companies and hardware manufacturers at the cost of the environment and the price chart, well, that's great. And that's great for all of crypto. And it's also great for PulseChain. In my mind, the two most important core concepts for PulseChain are the Ethereum fees still high? Yes, they are. You know, I was looking earlier today, it's still $3 to send normal Ethereum. It's still, 10 or $12 to do a Uniswap transfer, et cetera. And that's during a bear market where, Ethereum already dropped 85%. Bear markets tend to come to an end. So the last bear market only lasted 365 days. This one is going to last a little bit longer because people decided to destroy their balance sheets and buy a second. They didn't want to do the normal blow off top bubble chart. They wanted to do an extra double bubble. And this double bubble, well, it didn't work. Ethereum's capital liquidated, block, Celsius bankrupt. Michael Saylor, net negative. El Salvador, net negative. Everybody, all those guys losing money left and right. All the people that listen to me, well, they've seemed to have done much better. Called top of the day. You might have heard that before. So basically, with this merge that's coming up, assuming it goes well, which I hope that it does, they've got a lot of audits. They've done a lot of testing on it. Hope it goes well. It doesn't do anything but help PulseChain. Fees are still high. Gas limits are still low. No one's building out extra capacity for Ethereum. No one's trying to reduce the Ethereum fees except us. And I guess maybe the ETH2 developers that someday in the future will eventually get around to sharding, which has been a dream of theirs for like as long as Ethereum's existed. I don't know, 6 years. And it's great. So it also helps with our consensus stuff, because a lot of stuff the guys did in ETH2 for consensus is useful for us and PulseChain. And that's the only thing we're really waiting on. So, if you've used the testnet, which I consider to be the best game on the blockchain, hey, you like blockchain games? Guess what, guys? You get copies of all your coins in the pulsechain.com testnet. Go try them out right now. You can trade them back and forth. You can do, it's the same code. So you can do a lot of the same things. And everything else has been really good. Like PulseX, done tons of trades, tons of people doing buy and burns. I've heard nothing but good things about the testnet. So we're basically, because things have taken as long as they have, we're more secure. We're able to improve other projects if we want. Not sure we will. It's just funny. So in my mind, the two things people care about the most in PulseChain are more coins, more throughput, lower fees. That's the primary value statement. And ETH 2.0 with this merge doesn't give you new coins, doesn't give you lower fees, doesn't give you higher throughput. And so our value proposition is totally clean. I like it. Everything's good. And then the less negative sell pressure on crypto as a whole from removing the miners having to get paid all the time is good for everything. Now, am I bullish on crypto? Not yet. Now remember, Hex ran up 60x versus Bitcoin the first time it dumped from 65K down 55%. So Hex can totally decorrelate from Bitcoin. I think it was kind of bad timing that it looks correlated now because we had our own cycles, right? There were sacrifice phases. There was other things going on in our own cycles. And so I wouldn't be surprised if some point Hex started doing the same things it used to do, which is just overperforming like crazy. We'll see. I don't have a crystal ball. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, do your own research, etc. But I mean, even recently when you saw Bitcoin like break under 20K, which people are really hoping for, they don't want to see, they don't like seeing Bitcoin under 20K. And then if you're a technical analyst, there's some things that say like support becomes resistance. And so, you know, what used to be resistance is support in theory, old 20K top, now 20K quote bottom, but actually didn't hold a 20K bottom at all. Didn't respect that at all. You know, went down to 17.5, is now sitting at, it was interesting. I saw the euro and Bitcoin and the S&P 500 all pumped today. I was like, oh, I wonder if they're correlated. So yeah, I think as long as Grayscale Bitcoin's at a 33% discount, which it is, and they hold 1% of all Bitcoin, and, you know, the Ethereum merge might be a buy the rumor, sell the news event. I mean, we see lending, people that are borrowing Ethereum for the merge, they're paying like 15% APY to do it. And so, you know, there's some people interested in playing this merge game. And I think traditionally in crypto, buy the rumor, sell the new stuff, it's pretty common, you know. And so with the risk that Bitcoin dumps due to either just not doing its 85% dump yet, which would put it at, you know, a little bit under 11K, and the 33% discount on Grayscale BTC, which has been consistent. I mean, it's been there for months. And the Mt. Gox coins being released at some point. Those guys suck so bad. Just give us a date, guys. Just give us a date. Let's go. Stop screwing around, you know? The comedy, that whole thing. And then we've got the Bitfinex coins they're trying to sell, which I think is like 94,000 coins or 84,000 coins or something. And then we've got Ross Ulbricht's coins, which I think is like 70,000 coins, somewhere between 54 and 74,000. Can't remember the exact number. I tweeted all these, so you can look these up. So we've got discounted Grayscale Bitcoin, which is 1% of all Bitcoin. We've got Mt. Gox, Bitfinex, and the federal marshals probably selling Ross Ulbricht's coins because he signed off to let them do it to pay his restitution. And then normal cycle dump, right? And then maybe buy the rumor, sell the news for merge. So in my mind, it's the dream bottom would be the Grayscale discount goes away. Some of those free coins that are going to get released by law, like the Japanese ones at Mt. Gox, or going to get dumped as a matter of law, which would be the Ulbricht ones of Silk Road fame. And then it's up in the air whether the Bitfinex ones will really get sold or not. You know, they might get refunded or they might get sold. Who knows? And I think there was 94,000 coins there. You could look it up. So the dream would be those coins get dumped. Bitcoin's deficit to net asset value in Grayscale disappears. And then it does its traditional 11K and pray 85% dump. That's been a nice bottom. And then if they raised interest rates, oh boy, that'd be nice too. Because as long as they keep doing quantitative tightening, QT, it pushes down the stock market pushes down Bitcoin pushes down Ethereum. That's how it goes. And then I like this next cycle is going to be hilarious because with PulseChain, you know, like look at the situation Bitcoin's in. Is there DeFi in Bitcoin? Comedically, no. Is there high throughput? Is there low fees? Is there a roadmap? Nope. Is there good anonymity? Nope. Now I was just talking to a lawyer today about the Tornado Cash situation. And this, I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice, but he says that, you know, the sanction just addressed USDC, which means it could be the case that you can still use Tornado Cash using the ETH address. And as long as you're using IPFS to access the contract, you know, it seems like it should be okay. But if you mess this up, it's devastating. Don't mess it up. Be very careful. Get your own legal advice. Of the many things in this world that you want to toy with, sanctions are not one of them. The government takes them very, very seriously. So I would get legal advice from a lawyer before I did anything related to sanctions. So yeah, bear markets don't last forever, right? So if our top was, let's check the chart here. Check the chat. So if we call the most recent local top, get on the daily here, in Bitcoin, if we call that November of 2021, and a year out would be, that's November 11th of November 10th of 2021. That's 2 months from now. So if the bear market's only going to last 365 days, that's only 2 months and 4 days from now. Could happen, right? We could dump, make that firm bottom. And everyone else is thinking about this bear market. I'm thinking about the next bull market. As soon as we've got this consensus figured out, and I think we've got a good plan, as soon as this consensus is like executed and fixed on PulseChain, it's going to be glorious. Imagine imagine all these new people that get to buy a massive dip. So when I got into crypto, I didn't get to buy a massive dip. I got to buy the top. So I bought Bitcoin at 30 and it went down to 2. I was down 93.5% to start. It was like, oh, well, this sucks. Then you just hold. Then it goes up to 1,200, and then it goes down to 200, and then it goes up to 20,000, then it goes down to 3, and then it goes up to 14, then it goes to 4, and then it goes to 69, and then it goes to 17. That's the history. So being able to have so many people, like perhaps the people at this conference, buying at rates that are 10 times cheaper, like for instance, Hex dipped 95%. Well, golly, that's a good dip. I mean, you could get, if you buy 95% dip, you're getting 20 times the stuff for the same economic energy that a person that had bought previously did. So in theory, that greatly reduces your risk because you're getting so much more stuff. I don't know why in crypto everyone loves to buy tops and sell bottoms, but if you have the opportunity to buy bottoms, like some people bought the big payday dip, well, that was glorious. They did very well on that. Some people bought that $2 dip. I didn't. I just held. But had I been a lot smarter, buying a 90% dip on something that went up another 20,000 fold, yeah, actually went up another 34,500 fold from $2. So it's a lot. It's a lot of extra movement. 34,500x from the bottom of the dip. That was my introduction to Bitcoin. What else do we got going? I mean, some of you guys may notice there was a US credit card on-ramp available for Hex, which would be buytohex.com. What else? Yeah, really, we're kind of waiting for consensus. That's the majority of what we care about right now. And we also, the documentary's done. So the highest of stakes documentary is complete, and they're just slapping the soundtrack on there now. So it's I hear a 40-piece orchestra. I'm not an expert in orchestras. I'm not, I don't listen to too much orchestral music. I guess we all do if we watch movies, because it's very common in movies. And apparently everyone that's seen it likes it. So I think it's going to be awesome when that comes out. So let's see what next year might look like. PulseChain, PulseX, Hex on the Ethereum network, Hex on the Pulse network, documentary out, incentive token out. Tell us more about the incentive token. I don't know. People probably provide liquidity to it, and that'll be its claim to fame. What's Dogecoin's claim to fame? As a JPEG. This still seems to be a mechanic that works in crypto. Yeah, so, the outrage marketing, it's sad that so few people have, I guess, the attention span to pay attention to my live streams or read my books, because I've covered this 100 times. So for instance, I got a new Rolls Royce Cullinan $700,000 one, and its only utility to me is that I can brag about it. I mean, I've got like 6 cars. I don't drive them. They just flex value, right? So, I mean, occasionally, like I'll beat on one at the track or something, but by and large, I don't drive them. So, you know, I sent a tweet that says I like getting driven in my Rolls Royce by the people that think they're better than me on foot. And then for some reason, the people that I like that don't think they're better than me include themselves in the insult and get angry. And you're like, hey guys, are you on foot being driven by, like, I'm driving by you on foot, a fan of mine, and then are you judging me and saying you hate me and stuff? No, that's not the case. Well, then you don't qualify for the insult, because I assure you, in my day to day life, I meet tons of people that hate me, dislike me without knowing anything about me, and just hate money in general. And my job is to free people. And to be free, you need money, period. Which is why I invent monies, which is why I give out free coins. So, you know, I do very good outrage marketing. It gets good engagement, particularly engagement from people that don't already know me. And I know that that's what works for these newspapers, because that's the only reason they cover me. Now, how many other founders could they cover? How many cryptocurrencies are there? Tons. But I get the coverage because I'm more interesting, period. Now, being interesting is nice. That gets me some coverage. Predicting prices gets me even more kind of even coverage now, I guess. And then they would purposely still hide Hex and PulseChain. And I think it's hilarious, people that hate Hex and they call me a scammer and they call Hex a scam. And you're like, hey, well, is PulseChain a scam? You forgot that one, guys. Or my free self-help books that have been out for longer than I've been in crypto, are those a scam? Are, they're just so silly. Like the haters I run into are so silly. And so, like, on the one hand, I feel bad for fans of mine who may not have as much money as they wish, that feel insulted about me doing good outrage marketing, good flex marketing, the same marketing that has worked for Conor McGregor, Jake Paul, the Kardashians, and every of the other richest, famousest, most popularist people. Everyone does this. Who is famous that doesn't do outrage marketing? The Dalai Lama? Maybe. The Pope? Maybe. But he's rolling in a really nice Mercedes. So, like, I'm doing what works. The metrics show that it works. I'm getting traction with news agencies and newspaper reporters that I wasn't previously. And just today, Business Insider published a bunch of, my price commentary, and for the first time talked about Hex, and for the first time talked about PulseChain. That's progress. The previous articles didn't include those words whatsoever. It's a big deal. And so when people write favorably about me or Hex or PulseChain or the SENS Foundation or medical research, stuff like that, I like to reward them with likes and retweets. And, if their reach grows, good for them. They deserve it. And then maybe they come back and talk to me about more interesting stuff. So yeah, this and the other magic to outrage marketing is, if someone already follows you and is already 100% on board and down with the stuff that you care about, it isn't useful to trigger them. It isn't useful to be outrageous towards them unless they just need to be aware of it so they can use it as fuel to go trigger other people. So I don't, other than to just respond to the occasional guy that's crying in my thread, like, oh, you lost a follower, I don't know why you became so materialistic. Hey, guys, I'm still streaming from the same place that I've been streaming in for 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, like this, it's very hard as a self-help author that gives away free self-help books to be told about his materialism. I'm only as materialistic as it helps me help other people. That's it. So, I mean, like, if I didn't have a social media following, I wouldn't spend all this money. And I think for most people, it doesn't work, right? Like, there are a lot of other people shopping in the same stores that I'm at, and they're not getting any flex value for their stuff. So, in summary, and by the way, you guys that are out there, putting stickers on your cars, putting stickers in bathrooms. On the one hand, I'm all for property rights, and on the other hand, I want to change the world for the better. And a gas pump that has a legitimate thing that may help you change your life. That language is messed up. May could help you. I don't know. Hey, I'm trying to be artful with this. If you don't get the word out, a lot of people aren't going to have the opportunity to participate and participate at prices that are 20-fold better than people that participated previously. The boom and bust cycle of crypto is well known and well popularized by me. I'm the one that tells you everything drops hard. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for a lot of people. And if they don't find out about it, and look, you guys do all the advertising. I got to tell you the truth, guys. I haven't put a sticker on anything. Maybe once. I think one time I put a sticker on something. But in general, I haven't done it. But you guys are doing it. That's amazing. You guys are sending out mail. I haven't sent any mail. You guys are sending out mail. I love it. I think it's t.me/hex. Let me check it real quick. And I feel so sorry for Twitter because they're going to be on my channel and this isn't on my channel. Yep. t.me/hex postcards. I love what those guys are doing because one of the few, cryptocurrency was invented for censorship resistance. And what is one of the very few censorship resistant methods of communication that we have left to us? The physical mail. The physical mail. They can't ban you from the physical mail. Thank God. Thank God. Because everywhere else, they just ban the heck out of you. It's hilarious to me. And I also know that the physical mail works because, I see in New York, a Washington, what is it? Wall Street Journal. Some guy on Twitter works for the Wall Street Journal, complains about this mail that he got. And you're like, hey, maybe learn instead of crybaby. The stuff that we're doing is awesome and has been awesome. 1,000 days of perfect, flawless operation while everything else around us got wrecked. 1,000,000% price performance before staking. And it luckily dips once in a while. And some people get to participate at the dips. It takes effort and it takes time. So I give you an example. When did email basically kill normal mail? It took a long time. And when did the digital camera kill the analog camera? It took a while. When did MP3s kill CDs? That one was probably pretty quick, but maybe it was still 10 years. We are very close in that the technology's gotten better and better and better. When I first got into crypto, if you sent over 100 sends, it invalidated all your backups because your backups would only cover the first 100 addresses because it didn't use HD wallets where one seed word generated everything or one seed phrase generated everything. It manually generated public-private key pairs that then generated addresses, and then, you would just lose all your stuff. And, back then, there were so fewer users, and they used it so little, probably not that many guys ran into that particular problem, hopefully. Or maybe that's where all those unmoved coins are. You always look at all those unmoved coins. You're like, I wonder why those people never spent any of that money. It's always interesting. So when you want to replace everything, it helps to be 10 times better than what you're replacing. And the more harshly that governments crack down on their people, the more welcoming and more of a competitive advantage what we have has to offer. So in the Netherlands, they're destroying the farmers. I find that to be disgusting. And, in Canada, when they squash political protest by seizing the bank accounts of people that even sent money for other people to buy sandwiches. So you're guilty of a crime of funding sandwich purchases? Nope, not okay. As you said, freedom of movement destroyed, freedom of speech destroyed. And it really is. I mean, all the libertarian, this is what I've always found so funny. Libertarian guys would always say government bad. You're like, okay. They're private companies. Go start your own Facebook. And you're like, you can't actually do that. It doesn't work. Like they tried, I think Parler tried that, and then they got shut down. They lost their hosting. They got banned everywhere, And so there's an entrenched media conglomerate that controls the narrative about everything. Like I heard Zuckerberg on Rogan, and I read the comments, which you should never do. Comments are where happy people go to die, particularly on channels that aren't mine. And somebody in the channel was like, "Hey, ask about Zuckerberg checking like $400 million at influencing the election, and so why he acts fair and balanced in public when he talks about the decisions Facebook's made, and then you look at what he's doing privately. Apparently, he's funding the crap out of left things. Now, it's like you want to be apolitical because you want to on-ramp every kind of user. But on the other hand, you want to live in a better place. And there's a very obvious difference between the guys that wouldn't let you travel, wouldn't let you see your family, still won't let you travel, and just treat you like a guinea pig. And, there's a particular type of politics that those people tend to like. And that disgusts me. And like this idea of like, hey, let's hire 80,000 agents for the IRS. And you're like, the government doesn't produce anything. They don't make anything. They just take your money and give it to other people. That's all they do. They don't farm. They don't build cars. They don't build planes. They don't build sodas. They don't make paint. All they do is take your money and give it to other people. And so the more human beings in the society that get sucked into the machine of redistributing other people's wealth, the less people there are left to bear the load of actually doing the work of making the world a better place. So I'll give an example. Germany. Apparently 24% the price of gas in Germany is actually the price of gas. And the rest is all tax and crap. And so they tax it to death. So here's what they do. I mean, one of the tweets I've made recently that I liked more than others was, 2023 electric cars and blackouts. And that's really what it is. So they raise the tax on gas, hoping that the market decides to make electric more viable. And then they consequently make it so that electric doesn't work anymore because you don't have any gas, because batteries do not generate electricity. Batteries store energy. And where does the energy come from that they store? Well, in a lot of these countries, from burning gas and oil. And so batteries are not a solution for power generation, period. And they never will be. You still have to generate the power. And so, you've got gas prices up 2x, 3x in the UK, up 50, 60% in other countries like Italy. And it's wild to me that governments think that they can print their way into prosperity. Running the money printer doesn't make you a prosperous nation. Building stuff makes you a prosperous nation. So cryptocurrency is a more efficient medium of exchange, a more efficient store of value, a more durable good, a more recognizable good, nearly impossible to counterfeit. Traditionally, these other currencies are not. It has other properties such as, if you get paid and you wait enough confirmations, you really got paid. There's no chargebacks. But if in the United States you accept an ACH transfer, they can charge that back up to 6 months, maybe even a year later. You never really have the money. It's a joke. They can always claw it back. And wire transfers are different from ACH. And that's different than a merchant processing account. And that's different from PayPal law. So, cryptocurrency is one of the only technologies that exists that can return the power back to the people and make you rich at the same time. There's a lot of things you do to improve the world that cost you personally, and you don't end up profiting. You just end up losing. So you know, hey, this guy's poor. You give him all your money. Now you're broke. He's rich. Okay. And he'll probably become broke again because that's how I got broke in the first place. That's why trust exists. So you trickle money at people so they don't just go blow it all. And then they're like, oh, well, I gave you all that money, you blew it all. That's why trust exists, so that you can trickle the money at them. So same thing with improving the world through crypto is that you can get rich doing it, and then you become stronger while you're making the world a better place. You know, when you put your financial energy into peer-to-peer, open source, distributed, censorship resistant, known future issuance, something that gets more rare instead of more common, yeah, that's good for everybody that's involved. Now, obviously, what price you get in at makes a difference, and the rate at which you're acquiring new users and things like that. But it's a growth market. I mean, right now, the dollar's its all-time low versus stuff, and other national currencies are at 20-year lows versus the dollar. So imagine if you held a currency that wasn't the dollar, another fiat currency, like say the euro, you know, the dollar is down massive, and then the euro is down an extra third. It lost a third of its purchasing power over the last 15 years versus the dollar. And cryptocurrency would solve all that. You know, if you bought Bitcoin or Ethereum or Dogecoin or Hex or anything much earlier, not anything, but any of the things that has good product market fit and durability, good security, well, you'd be up massive right now. You'd have life-changing wealth. You know, people talk about, oh, it's too late to buy Hex. You're like, oh, really? It's too late before it's listed on any big exchanges, before there's any documentaries, before there's a copy on another chain, while there's a 90% dip, and then also while there's only 107,000 stakers. That's when it's too late, because it sounds early to me. That sounds really early to me. I don't think 107,000 stakers is the end. I think it's the beginning. And you guys are proof of that, you know. We put on like 4,000 or 5,000 of those in just the last couple months. There's sites that publish like how many new users per day and things like that. So Hex.vision, I think Staker.app might have something. There's a couple other Hex like stats sites. So maybe you go to hex.com/links, you can find some more. It's actually hard for me to keep track of all these new cool sites. Like there's this one site I haven't figured out yet, all the stuff it does. Yeah, so cryptocurrency, Hex, well, you know, the original question was freedom and vertical integration. And I covered the freedom a bit, but I didn't cover the vertical integration. Hex is made better by PulseChain. PulseChain, especially in the beginning, is made better by Ethereum. You're probably most of the activity is going to be through bridges in the beginning until it gets direct listings, right? Because you have to touch the fiat world. You have to touch the economic energy that people get paid in. So the more secure that is, better for everybody. Not to mention, guys, Hex is on Ethereum as well. So a more secure Ethereum is a nice one. And then the wallet, you know, I'm not extremely happy with the wallet ecosystem in Ethereum. I'd like to see more diversity. I'd like to see there be more options. I'm having one built. It's in progress. So in theory, vertical integration would be, you've got the trading on PulseX, you've got the consensus network on PulseChain, you've got value storage and Hex, but really all of these probably serve value storage pretty good. But time deposit, there's nothing that's going to do that better than Hex. And we've got all these derivatives built on top of Hex now. So you may have heard of them, like Hadron, Icosa, Maxi. We've also got the incentive token. That right there is almost the whole stack. So you've got coins, trading, consensus network, wallet. Only thing left is fiat on-ramp and off-ramp. And then you're pretty much vertically integrated in that ecosystem. And it's weird to use the term vertical integration and things that are distributed, but they're more cultural, you know? So probably if you like salsa, you're more likely to like merengue. You know, if you like one kind of Latin music, you're probably more likely to like another kind of Latin music. If you like one kind of video game, you're probably more likely to like another kind of video game. And so if you like one Richard Hart invention, you're probably more likely to like other Richard Hart inventions. Does that cover it? I think that covers vertical integration and freedom. You have privacy. You have to have it. First of all, it's a protected human right. So the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution states that there should be no unreasonable search and seizure. Well, why? Because the guys that wrote that were being unreasonably searched and seized, and they got tired of it. It sucked to just have anybody come in your house and search all your stuff all the time. It sucked. And then we had a digital right against that, or we had an analog right against that. So if you broke into someone else's mailbox and read their mail, that's a federal crime. Big no-no. But now everybody reads your mail. ISP reads your mail. Email provider reads your mail. Admin at their network reads the mail. It's a joke. And so you lost your analog rights in the digital world. And that's not the only place that's happened. You also lost, so there was laws about utilities and you having to have access to utilities. And the telephone was a utility and it had to be affordable to access it. And so they broke up a monopoly. They broke up Ma Bell into little regional things and split it up so you could get better deals. But now our utilities are social media, but they haven't been broken up, even though they're more useful to us than the original utility the telephone was. And so now you are this close to getting banned at all times. This close. It could be random, it could be a bot. I've had my YouTube channel banned 4 times, I believe. Luckily, it keeps coming back, but maybe one day it won't. You know, my Instagram got banned, didn't come back. Now I got another one. Luckily, the other one was dead so long, I got the same name. But basically, if you want to live in a world where your rights are protected, you got to fight for it. And to fight for it politically makes sense. It's technology can't solve politics, unfortunately. You've got to do the hard work of winning hearts and minds. And there's a lot of stupid people out there. So you got to speak truth to stupid. That's it. It's that simple. And there's a lot of powerful people that have got evil ideas in their head that they think are the ones that should win, which is unfortunate. So you got to combat those guys too. It's this whole breed of people that thinks the right way to run the world is to remove other people's speech to them. It's like, didn't you go to school and learn about the Constitution? Why do you think free speech is a protected right? The First Amendment. The first. Why is it the first? Because without it, the other ones don't really matter much. And the freedom to transact underpins all that. Oh, you have freedom of speech? Only if you can afford an internet connection. Are you going to go to a rally or a demonstration? Only if you can afford a ticket. Oh, well, if you can't buy tickets because the CBDC doesn't allow your ticket purchase, you know, so the freedom to transact underlies all other rights. And without the freedom to transact, you do not have any other rights. Like America, you know, how much freedom can you afford? How good's your lawyer? So, you know, justice is blind, except for the better lawyer usually wins, that kind of thing, right? So with Tornado Cash, you cannot run an effective business without privacy. You can't have your customers knowing what you're paying your suppliers. You can't have one supplier know what you're paying another supplier. You can't have a list of all your customers public. You can't have a list of all your employees public. Your employees can't know what other employees are getting paid. You need anonymity in capitalism, period. You need privacy as a human being to function, period. I'm not the inventor of this idea. These ideas have been around for a very long time, and that's why it's illegal to get binoculars and peep in other people's windows. That's why it's illegal to break into people's houses and read all their documents or steal their trade secrets. Or, you know, there's a long list of the courts deciding that your privacy is special. So, you know, and then what happens? Well, the government decides to just make it harder for everybody. So they hurt everybody. So to try and stop one criminal, they hurt everybody. Well, why are you trying to stop the criminal? To prevent them from doing harm. So you do harm instead of them? Doesn't make sense. It's like killing the patient to stop the disease. Congrats, you stopped the disease, but you killed the patient. The idea of stopping the disease was to help the patient have a higher quality of life. The idea of stopping financial criminals is to help everyone else that's honest go about their business and live a better life. And so there needs to be anonymity for capitalism on the blockchain. And it's not okay that whenever you pay someone, they see a history of everyone you've ever done business with, how much money you make, when you make it, who, like, that's not okay. It's not even in the realm of okay. But the governments are out of date on it. They don't understand how important it is, probably because they've never run a business on the blockchain before. Maybe once some legislators have actually operated a business on the blockchain, they'll understand how important privacy is. In theory, leverage trading itself is a scam. Most people lose. I hate the duality of, but I mean, I guess PulseChain is going to be similarly duopolistic. I'm sure that's the right way to say that, but I think it is the right way to say that. You know, how many scams are going to launch on Pulse? Endless. But that's what freedom looks like. And that's what helping the majority honest things looks like. And that's what saving hexagons from gas fees looks like. So it's, the question is with margin trading, does it provide the same net utility as consensus network? Probably not. But if people are going to get wrecked margin trading, probably better they get wrecked someplace that wrecks them less than more, you know? So, I mean, like, I think scaled, I'm not going to name names, but there was one very popular platform that when you would get liquidated, it would sell everything, even if it only had to sell a little bit. And so it caused extra volatility. And then you'd have trailing stops, but not trailing entries, which amplifies volatility instead of decreases volatility, because they get paid on volatility. And so they want to amplify it, which, by the way, is the opposite of what people are trying to do with, quote, claiming that they're helping price discovery. So you discover the price earlier and more effectively, and then it reduces volatility. And so it's weird to have a platform that amplifies volatility for its own profit through the two things I just said. And so, you know, one other platform that I'm aware of used like a scaled liquidation, where if you only needed to sell a portion of someone's collateral, that's what you did, instead of like nuking the market by selling all of it, that kind of thing. Like, we want improvement. You know, if you really want to get fruity with it. So here's the thing, like, do I want to give my amazing ideas for you to make something that people are going to get wrecked on? I don't know. I might keep a lot of my secret sauce to myself. Like, you know, I don't want to tell you the things that I might put in the wallet. I don't want to tell you the things I might put in the leverage thing. But I can tell you for now, I don't have anyone working on the leverage thing at all. Nobody. So let's focus on getting mainnet, you know? Having a wallet that you know isn't like eyeballing you to death, I think is the like core feature. Is it secure? Yes. Do you know it's not eyeballing you to death? Right? Is it sending copies of your transactions to people that are there to analyze them? Because I don't like that idea that a wallet can be doing that. So that's I think the primary use case for the wallet: secure and private. Everything else is bonus. If you don't have any capital, you got two options. You can borrow it, which is risky. Maybe who borrowed from breaks your legs. Maybe you buy the wrong thing. You can't pay it back. But in America, you do have bankruptcy law. And so there are some people that do borrow stuff and then go bankrupt if it doesn't work out. Now, I've never suggested that to anybody because it's risky, because some portion of people is going to lose on that. And so I'm very careful to even talk about it now because it's very, very risky. What's a lot less risky is you work a job. And what's the best paying job? Sales. And who's the most likely to start their own business? Salespeople. And so why not? And do you need 7 years of school to go into sales? No. So it's the best paid job with the least schooling. Okay, well, if you can do that, do that. That's what I did. But, you know, even if the idea is to put money into your own business, usually crypto is going to outdo you. So if you bought Ethereum, I mean, it's so easy to quote, you know, Hex going up 10,000x. But let's say we quoted something that went up a lot less. Let's say we quoted Ethereum, which went up, say, a 50x. What's 88 to 5,000? It's like a little bit more than a 50x. So even if you just caught something that had far less gains than Hex, even if it was just Ethereum, would your own business have given you 50-fold your money? No, probably not. Now, let's say you can't catch the bottom and catch the top. So now maybe you get like a 10x or 15x. Would your own business have 10 or 15 extra money? Usually not. Depends, right? It really depends on how capital intensive your business is and how easy you can grow it and how many competitors you have and is it durable? If you're selling scooters in the street, it's okay for Christmas, but once everyone's got one, it's not okay anymore. If you're selling pumpkins for Halloween, so, there's seasonality, there's trends. The thing that was popular last time might not be popular this time. So, you should read my books, t.me/Scivive, SCIVIVE. You should listen to the audiobooks if you don't want to read them. Just Google it or go on YouTube, search it. A nice lady read them. And then I think that buying the dip in crypto for something that has product market fit has more financial opportunity than nearly anything else you could possibly do. And so to work a job, I mean, like, how did I get so rich? Well, I kept investing. I invested in myself. I kept learning. I built my own businesses. And then I bought a lot of crypto. And I mined crypto too. That sucks, by the way. Wish I didn't do that. Wish I bought. These things haven't changed. The same things that I got rich with are the same things that you could get rich with now. So I like, in summary, too long didn't listen. Work or be insanely careful borrowing. Like, you could lose everything. Some guy could come break your legs. I don't know who you're borrowing from. But on the other hand, you do have bankruptcy law, which is like, if you win, you get to keep your winnings, but if you lose, you get to call it even. So taking advantage of that, some people have done it. There's no other higher ROI investment that I'm aware of in the world than cryptocurrency. So saving up and buying the dip. I mean, look, I saved for a very long time. I've always lived below my means. I live below my means now. If you only saw what it would look like for me to deploy my capital, it would be like, what? Building his own Death Star? What? Like, so I see people buy a lot of stuff I won't buy. People make fun of me. A guy made fun of me for not owning like a bunch of cars over $1 million. And I'm just like, dude, they're like old. I know they're going to have reliability problems. And I know they're not as good as the one I already got. I know the SF90 is better than the LaFerrari. It is. That's what happens when you wait 10 years and try again. Same company, I know my SF90 beat on the 918 Spider. I kind of want to buy one for the brand affinity, but it's just so ugly. It's like, do I really want to pay $1.5 million for this car, which I don't even like the way it looks? And it's got an old laggy screen, and it's from 2015. And you're like, well, man, it's 2022 now. Technology's come a long way. So maybe I'll get one, but like a lot of other, I know other Hexicans that have like 3,500 horsepower Lambo. And you're like, I don't have a 3,500 horsepower Lambo, but there's a Hexican that does. So Hexicans are, they spend larger percentage of their net worth than I do. I am very frugal compared to most other people. People don't realize that. Like, I bought a $700,000 Cullinan. And like, well, a lot of business is experiments. You can't know with certainty what things are going to do. So I always run into people speaking with great certainty about things that there's just no way to know. So my best guess as to the opportunity of a speculative investment is the ratio of the people that know about it now to the ratio of people that will know about it. And this applies for honest, amazing things and for straight up trash things. So do you think that Hex stops on ramping users at 107,000 stakers? Well, I look at the chart and it doesn't look like that's what it's doing. Looks like it's doing just fine. Do you think more people, like let me put it to this way. What percentage of Ethereum users have even heard of PulseChain? 5%?
Very few.
6%? Said no mentions in any article anywhere. All the crypto news people are totally silent about it. So, I think that the ratio of people that have heard about PulseChain and PulseX to the ratio of people that will hear about the world's largest free airdrop, I think there's going to be a big difference. I think there's going to be a lot of people that'll be happy to participate that have never heard of it before. So that for me is the largest indicator of the potential of a thing. And so, by the way, like Hex did a 10,000x, 100,000 stakers. How many more people do you think will participate in PulseChain? I mean, straight up sucky stuff that is trash, like Celsius had millions of users. Millions of users. Hex doesn't have millions of users. Hex doesn't have millions of sacrificers, but Celsius had millions of users. And Ethereum probably has tens of millions of users, etc. And so I think, and here's the other thing. Why is the PulseChain chat room 50% larger than the Hex chat room, even though it's 10 times less old? Well, maybe it's not tenfold less old anymore, but it's massively less old because it's an easier to understand product. There's not a definite answer as to why, but in my experience, people understand it a lot easier. They're like cheaper, faster Ethereum, deflates only. By the way, Ethereum's still net inflationary, I believe, even after the merge. So the Oracle, well, I really don't know because I don't know of any projects that I care about that are launching when PulseChain launches. So, I mean, like, all an Oracle is some guy's computer quoting a price for something. It could be your computer. You can launch your own Oracle. So if the Chainlink guys want to come up, well, I mean, okay, you know what? I have a better answer for you. Uniswap has price oracle functionality built into it. So you can make PulseX your price oracle for anything that's on chain that's traded on PulseX, which is probably any PRC20 you want to put on there. Or you could even use bridged in things as well. Your other option is if you want to bridge in data that's off chain, which, by the way, I see very little use of this. What is the off chain thing that people need oracles for? Like trading commodities, like corn futures. I don't see that happening on the blockchain. So the number of things that really need off-chain data for price oracle use, I'm not familiar with volume or popularity in those things. I guess the Bitcoin price would be one of those things. It'd be nice to have a Bitcoin price feed, but you could kind of just calculate, like, yeah, it depends on how much bridged in wrap Bitcoin there is. I mean, if the bridged in wrap Bitcoin has a relatively stable chart, you could kind of guess that that's your price oracle for what the value of Bitcoin price is. So if you want more like weird use case, weird bridged in stuff, I don't know. Go ask one of the existing Oracle guys to point one of their nodes over to the Pulse chain, or just if it's open source, do it yourself. That's the beautiful thing about open source is you're supposed to do it yourself. So I hope that answered your question. I think knowing that PulseX can act as a price oracle is pretty neat. It even has time-weighted average price if you want to get it. It's a great question. Sounds like you're going to develop something. Awesome. You developing something?
We'll
a girl with the last name Coder asked me about price oracle, guys. Sounds like she's trying to do something. It's good talking to you. She makes nice videos,
Thanks
by the way. Pleasure. So I want people to have more freedom. And it seems like everything sucks everywhere. Everything's getting worse everywhere, except for maybe electric cars, maybe rockets that land themselves, and crypto. But everything else sucks. It is getting worse. I don't know. Maybe CPUs are doing okay, and GPUs. So if you want to make the world better, who's going to do it? Well, if you got the resources and the abilities, you should do it yourself. As long as you're not killing something else you would have been better at, right? Like it's highest and best use. It's not just highest use, it's highest and best. So there's a possibility. So my idea on country is that you don't want to be an island, because then if you're an island, you've got a lot of extra overhead and lag and latency for materials acquisition. So let's buy a refrigerator. Well, it's gonna have to go on the boat. How long does it take for the boat to get here? You know, let's have a sandwich. Well, whereas we could have ordered just across the border from the sandwich place, now it's got to go on the boat or the plane. So islands have a lot of friction. So a lot of islands like the Bahamas that brought an island time. Nothing's getting done on time. Everybody's lazy. Richard, I can't believe you just said everyone in the Bahamas is lazy. Hey man, go ask them about it. All right, ask them what island time means. They'll tell you. It's so, if you can get a special economic zone carved out of someplace near a good country, touching a good country, well, that'd be great. So now we can get tax incentives and commerce incentives and get your foothold in there. And if you get your tax and your commerce incentives, now you've got sustainability. Now it's like you're not burning money there, you're making money there. And then you can start to influence that local culture, local law enforcement, et cetera, with your own kind of theme of freedom. And so I haven't had the time to really go through the ones that have been most successful. But I know that setting up special economic zones is a thing. They do exist. I've been to them. I've bought stuff from them. And I think it's the most low overhead, highest likely to profit mechanism by which you might be able to carve out some freedom. Now, the hard part there would be, how much will you be allowed to isolate from the local control structure? And you might be able to isolate a lot if they're getting paid. If they're not getting paid, I'm not sure how much freedom they'll let you buy. So it's a 6 or 7 year out thing. I've got to do medical research funding. I've got a couple blockchain things in the pipeline here. Got to get those going. And hey, I've got these free books why don't I just publish them? I can afford to publish them. Why not do that? And I would probably get more press and more interviews from doing that than I've done from the crypto stuff, which is hilarious to me. So, but New Hampshire tried this, right? Like, New Hampshire really tried to be the libertarian go-to zone. And I'm not sure whether they won. Like, I'm not sure if their dreams came true or not. But if you want to see something really interesting, there's a Netflix documentary about a religious dude that tried to carve out a spot in the Northwest United States somewhere, and it went all kinds of wrong. They tried to influence the voting by bringing a bunch of homeless people to vote. And then they didn't realize that the reason homeless people are homeless isn't because of a lack of opportunity usually. It's because of mental illness. It makes them hard to utilize the opportunity when they find it in a durable way. And so then they had a bunch of crazy people running around. And then they just basically tried to mass drug them by spiking the water with mood stabilizers and other things that are prescription level stuff. Oh man. And then I think there was a murder plot as well. It was very interesting. I wish I could remember the name of the show off the top of my head, but it was wild. And so that was an example of a guy that, gave the whole be a standalone community thing like a go, and it went terribly. And I think the main reason it went terribly is that their neighbors sucked. Their neighbors just hated them. Now they might have been, I think that's the main reason it sucked. And then they had to fight the neighbors and try and outvote them by importing a bunch of people that they didn't realize how bad they could be. I'm sure there's some other internal bad structure stuff, but like, and also, I mean, in that same vein, apparently Balaji or Naval or one of those dudes, I think it was Balaji, who's kind of a Bitcoin maxi, I believe, pleb, He says he's interested in longevity. Well, that's funny, Balaji, because I raised $27 million for longevity research, and I didn't see you tweet about it, scumbag. Why not? Why don't you tweet about it, you douche? Really irritates me when people say they're for longevity, and then I raise more than anyone else for it in history, and then it's like a secret.
Yep.
It's like Coinbase bro is talking about longevity. Hodgkinskin, the ADA bro, is talking about longevity, and you're just like, hey guys, didn't hear a peep out of any of your mouths when we were straight up handing out free coins to people that would donate to a 50c3 registered medical research charity, primarily focused on longevity. And so I have a grudge. I hold a chip on my shoulder to all those people, because had they said something, that could have been a $100 million raise instead of a $30 million raise. And so I'm very upset at those group of people that say they're for longevity. But if you were, why wouldn't you guys take the free coins and donate to the charity?
Right.
Wild to me.
So thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today
you.
at PulseCon.
Thanks, everybody. I wish you maddest of gains.
Thank you.
See you guys.
See you guys.
If you're looking for more information on crypto, be sure to click that subscribe button for future content and keep one with it. Let's take it down below. Click here to check out Richard Heart's most recent Twitter space. Stay safe and have an awesome day.